Transformation doesn't happen from you thinking about it, reading about it, or even talking about it. It happens when you act on it. So if you want to transform your life, you have to act. So just take one step.
Welcome to Ending Chronic Disease, where we challenge everything you thought you knew about health. Join international best-selling author and wellness pioneer, Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, as he reveals how to transform your body, your mind, and your life starting today.
You know, when I became a doctor of chiropractic, I'll never forget, I was so on fire. I thought that just by putting my name on a big sign and getting this beautiful office started, that patients were going to just line up and I was going to be able to help thousands of people in my first month in practice. That didn't happen. Nobody came in. I mean, I had this great office and nobody was coming in. And I had to realize that, wow, if in order for me to help the public, this is a topic that a lot of people don't understand. And it wasn't about chiropractic per se. It was about this natural, holistic health that we promote that has helped so many people, right? In chiropractic, we're celebrating this year 130 years. So we've been around for a long time. I mean, acupuncture has been around over 5,000 years, and some of the other natural health professions have been around even longer. So I want you to understand that when I first started this, I started having a little bit of a doubt. Did I make the right decision? Is this the world that I wanted to be in? I could have been a neurosurgeon, right? I was so heading towards medical school, but no, I changed my mind and decided I'm going to be a doctor of chiropractic. I'm going to promote health and well-being. I want to get people's nervous system working properly. I want to teach them about lifestyle and prevention. And then, of course, for that time on, I was thinking about ending chronic disease. I just didn't think of it like that, even though now it's become a mission, not only of mine, but many people out there. But I know that you may be struggling right now with an illness, and I know that you may have some doubts yourself, and that's okay. You may even have some fears because you may have heard, well, that doesn't work, they're not real doctors, or whatever the case may be. But what I'm here to tell you is take a look at the source that is giving you that information. In my last book, The Power of Self-Healing, that became an international best-selling sensation and #1 in many countries, I talk about getting a second opinion. I talk about getting a second opinion because what I realize is that if you go to the same specialty, let's say you're thinking about a surgery, a back surgery, but if you go to an orthopedic surgeon, and then they give you an opinion, and then you go to another orthopedic surgeon, do you think really that you're going to get a different opinion? No, you're going to get the same opinion. Why? Because they're trained the same way. But if you happen to go to a doctor of chiropractic with the same condition, now we may go and look at it and say, you know what? We have chiropractic adjustments that can do some of the work. We have this technology called decompression that has already been proven to reduce these herniations and help your body mobility in your spine to hopefully prevent that surgery from happening. We have cold lasers that have shown to be able to speed up the healing process while decreasing inflammation tremendously. We have nutritional products that have been very effective in speeding up that process of healing. We have all these things available to us that were very different than the initial second opinion that you got. And what I'm here to tell you is that, in my opinion, the reason that I became a doctor of chiropractic, the reason that I've been so big in the world of wellness, preventative medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine, is because I believe that we should try everything we can naturally first before introducing pharmaceuticals in our bodies. Why? Because pharmaceuticals have gotten very strong in their side effects, and some of those side effects can be even worse than the initial symptoms that you had. I've seen it happening with friends of mine. I had recently a friend of mine that called me. He had just retired from one of the big Fortune 50 companies in the United States, had all the money in the world, was living his life, and then he went to a doctor and they gave him an antibiotic that, for whatever reason, responded negatively, which completely destroyed his quality of life. He couldn't walk, he couldn't think, he couldn't do anything, and he's still struggling. We have to be careful with side effects. When you have pharmaceuticals, these are man-made, and the body has difficulty sometimes breaking them, and some of those chemicals can actually create a reaction in your body. That's why I get excited, because when we have this DNA testing right now that can give you an understanding through your DNA, what are some of the chemicals and pharmaceuticals that you have to be careful of, and make sure you share that DNA testing with your doctors, especially medical doctors. That way they don't prescribe you something that has the potential of having a negative adverse effect in your body. And why is that? Is because every single body is different. Medical errors have become, I think, the second biggest reason that people die. We have to be careful. And then when you have surgeries, remember, you have complications, not only of the anesthesia, but also of the surgery itself. And what about if it doesn't work? You build scar tissue in the body, and then you have to go back in there and do another surgery, which you're going to build more scar tissue. We have to be careful about that. So that's why I spent the last 38 years of my life promoting natural healthcare, promoting holistic healthcare. Why? Because I want people to recognize there's a whole nother world out there full of science, full of reasons. I wrote about it, I lecture about them, I talk about them on television, I talk about them in podcasts, in my radio shows. You want to be able to be informed. And I want this podcast to become a resource for you that you can share with your friends, share with your loved ones, so that way you can help them. But I don't want you to let your fears and your doubts keep you from being able to be open to something different. If you have debated in getting into the space of functional medicine and being able to be evaluated with maybe different type of lab work that is not just your urine or your blood work, but we have a lot of functional testing right now that is giving us so much more deeper information that allows us to really help the patients get well. Or perhaps a chiropractor, because you've heard this or you heard that. Give it an opportunity. Ask your friends. You'll find that some of them go to chiropractors and they may have a good recommendation for you. And if you've never tried acupuncture, give it a shot. What do you have to lose? It's a natural process. There are very little side effects, if any at all. That's the beautiful thing about natural health professions. We don't have hardly any side effects. In fact, in chiropractic, we're one of the lowest malpractice insurances in the whole healthcare field. Why? Because we're very safe. We're very safe. We take care from babies as newborns all the way to individuals that are about to have their last breath. We're very safe. And as doctors of chiropractic, we're trained how to be safe. So I want you to maybe be open-minded and don't give in to your doubts, don't give in to your fears, and give this opportunity to try something different. Try something different, something that maybe a friend recommended, something that you see somebody else doing that is working for them, maybe following one of these influencers that you really like and what they are teaching, become an informed consumer. That always helps. It makes a big difference. I never forget that I had one of my graduates that was struggling with diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is something that I know the numbers are rising, and even the CDC continues to say by the year 2030 and the year 2050, the majority of Americans are going to be suffering from diabetes. I'm here to tell you that there is a lot of solutions for type 2 diabetes. And part of that is you have to find what are the foods that are maybe dysregulating your sugar levels. You also have to find what are the foods that may be contributing to your diabetes. So you may be able to change some of the diets that you have that would allow your body to regulate itself and then be able to access that insulin that your body needs. We need to understand the process of diabetes type 2. We can't just say, okay, I have diabetes, I'm going to have to learn to live with that the rest of my life. No, stop thinking like that. We need to understand that diabetes is only there to be a teacher of what you can do to better improve your lifestyle, to better improve your quality of life. This individual, when they came to me, they felt a little embarrassed because they have been in this natural space, but they never been taught about diabetes. And I suggested some of the things that I have seen work really well that I just told you. And little by little, he started making some dietary changes. He began to exercise. That's one thing he wasn't doing at all, because there's a lot of correlations between exercise and reversing diabetes type 2. He began to actually take some supplements that will help equilibrate the sugar levels of his body, and that tended to help really good. And within a short period of time, all of a sudden, he was living pretty much a normal life. He was not diagnosed anymore as having diabetes type 2, and he was able now to then get into that space, become trained in it, and then help other people do the same thing. Please understand that when we talk about this holistic world, there are a lot of people out there that have gotten tremendous benefits and that are helping themselves through living a healthy life through these methods. So make sure that you do the same thing. I also had another person that was a corporate person. He was a CEO of many companies, and he had high blood pressure. And one of the things I never forget in chiropractic, we have in our exercise physiology or in our lab, we do a test where we take a patient with high blood pressure and then we give a chiropractic adjustment, and we can see that the pressure lowers. And we have studies like that have been published. So I recommended chiropractic care. And then I started introducing them to technologies that can lower his stress levels. So like BrainTap. BrainTap is like a guided meditation that uses not only sound waves and frequencies, but also LED lights. And you put these goggles on and you do sessions of 20 minutes, typically on average. And it is amazing. It lowers all your stress levels. It allows you to reprogram your brain. And more importantly, you have peace and quiet in your brain. So your body has a greater ability to heal, you know? The other one is I showed him some breath techniques. Most people don't realize that the average person doesn't breathe deep enough. So we have a very simple technique that you do where you take a deep breath for 6 seconds. You hold it for 6 seconds. And then you release it through your mouth for 6 seconds. That is one of the techniques that stimulates the vagus nerve, which is very important for us and our function, but it's also one that allows oxygen to get into your lungs, deep into your lungs, not this shallow breath that is about 30% of what we need to breathe. So this is a very simple breathing technique that you can do. Remember, 6 seconds, you take a deep breath through your nose, 6 seconds, you hold it, 6 seconds, you release it through your mouth. It's that simple. So I taught him some of those techniques. I also had to work with him in making sure that he was sleeping at least 7 hours a night. He was averaging about 3.5 hours a night, and I said, there's no way that we're going to be able to get your blood pressure down this way, because your cortisol levels are skyrocketing. You need sleep in order to actually reset the body. So that's one of the things that I work on with him. And within weeks, I mean, he was just like a new person. He was managing his stress better. He wasn't having the high blood pressure symptoms. He was able to get release from his medical doctor from his high blood pressure medication, and he was living comfortable. See, these are the things that I believe all of us need to engage in and understand a little bit more, you know. And then I had another patient one time that I was a mom, and she had 3 babies, and she was concerned because she was obese. And she's saying, you know, my kids are obese, all of them. And I said, well, look at the statistics in the United States. Over 70% are overweight and obese, and that's 7 out of 10 people. That is not good. We're one of the most obese countries in the world. We need to change that. And because obesity is a precursor for heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure, and even chronic pain and type 2 diabetes. So we need to make sure that we control it. So I worked with her, and we talked a little bit about her diet. And she was talking to me about some of the traditional things that she cooks at home, and how that's the way that she was raised, and that's the way she wants to raise her kids. But now she recognizes that it's not working for her, and it's not working for the kids. So little by little, she started changing what they cooked at home. And what I recommended is, look, the best way to change behavior in your children is get them in the kitchen. Have them chop the salad, chop the tomato, chop the onions, chop the green pepper, anything that you're putting in your salad. Let them help you. If you're going to stir something like make a vegetable soup, let them do the stirring. So that way they get to feel like they were part of the process. Get them to clean up or set the table, clean up the place, wash the dishes. Talk to them about the products that you're putting in your food, so that way they become informed as to why are you changing what we're doing. And the key to that is that you're creating new memories now, where now the family dinner is going to be around a healthy meal, and all those emotional attachments are going to help you and help them crave those foods in the future. Because many times our food is based on our emotional cravings, right? If you want to feel love, we tend to eat the stuff that we ate whenever we had love, right? Whether it was a romantic love and you had a meal that you usually share, or whether it's the love of a parent and they cook something for you, or the love of a grandparent and they cook something from you. It doesn't matter. When you were celebrating something exciting and you had a meal that reminded you of that, that's why we tend to eat those same foods, because it gives us the emotional fix that we're looking for. So as she began to change her dietary, the next thing was to get them moving. And what I encourage to do is that as the kids got into school, to take a walk as a family. Now, they had dogs, so it was easy because they did a family walk with the dogs. And what I encourage them to do is to only talk about what happened good that day for the kids and for them, only to share the good news. And the reason for that is because, you see, most of the conversations in a family tend to be about the negativity going on out there. If you watch the news, you hear about and talk about the negativity. If you read the newspaper, if you read the magazines, typically it's about negative news, right? We know that negative news spread faster than positive news. So we need to talk about what went good in our day, right? Ask your kids, tell me one thing that happened today that was good. Oh, Mom, we had a teacher came in and they taught us this, and I did so well that I got an A in the class or something. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, but just talk about something that was positive. As they started changing the nutrition, the walking, and then I even got them into taking some supplements that were very healthy, that would help them with the cravings and all of that. Little by little, they started all losing weight as a family. It wasn't just the mom and the dad, it was all the kids. They did it as a family, and that's a family that's going to now grow healthy together. So I'm encouraging you to consider to doing that. So let me give you some tips, okay? This is what I would encourage you to do as you move into ending chronic disease in you and your family. The first one is, I want you to start small, right? I've given you a lot of tips today, but I want you to take at least one thing that you can implement as quickly as possible. Anything that you've been maybe holding off of in the past, something that you remind yourself every so often, I need to do more of that. I want you to do at least one thing, because when you implement one new change in your life, that's where transformation, change happens. Transformation doesn't happen from you thinking about it, reading about it, or even talking about it. It happens when you act on it. So if you want to transform your life, you have to act. So just take one step. The other one is find your why. Find a reason to do it that is bigger than your excuse not to do it, right? You got to have a bigger why if you're going to change behavior. So find, like Dr. Phil says a lot of time, a payoff that is bigger than the one that you're receiving right now. So whatever your payoff is right now to keep the same bad behavior, you need to find a why that is bigger than that. I can remember a friend of mine that was having a really difficult time, and his why was to be able to live long enough to see his child get married. He realized that his chronic disease was declining and he was not going to be in the picture before his son even arrived to the age of marriage, right? And that was his motivation. And as soon as he started focusing on that, I need to be healthy, not only did he make the wedding, now he's doing tremendously well. So sometimes you got to have a bigger why. And the last thing is you got to have a support system, right? A support system is usually an environment, right? Get a buddy to say, hey, let's do this challenge together and challenge each other. Or listen to this podcast multiple times so it kind of gets into your mind. Many times I've heard in the past that you got to listen to something a few times before it really sinks in. So it's okay. That's why we're making this podcast not too long, so you can repeat them if you need to. But also get support from a mentor or a friend or somebody that you can ask them to help you keep yourself accountable. Getting that support system is really critical, in my opinion, to sustain the behavior. Now, once you have it done for what experts say 21 days, some experts say 30 days, but whatever, you continue the behavior for a period of time, it becomes a habit. And then a habit, you can manage it much more easier. So I want you to think about these 3 tips to get yourself started and hopefully begin this journey of ending chronic disease in your life. So I want you to take your first step today. And I want you to go into my website, benefit from some of the resources that I have, so many resources there that you're going to benefit from, and action steps that you can do, and I want you to benefit from that. I want you to take advantage of that and then be able to implement them in your life. Remember that transformation does not happen until you act on it. You have to act on it. It's not good enough to listen to this podcast 20 times if you're never going to do anything about it. Change happens when you change behavior. Now remember that the power to end chronic disease is in your hands. So let's make it happen one step at a time.
To learn more about Dr. Fabrizio Mancini's groundbreaking work, visit www.endingchronicdisease.com and join the movement. Together, we can end the silent epidemic of chronic disease and create a healthier, more vibrant world. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, be well and stay inspired.